Hello and welcome back after another hiatus to episode 15 of the Bowhike podcast. Today I've got James and Bryan Shannon, the brothers who are the masterminds behind Mountain Alpha. We go over some fitness stuff, some of their products. Just an overall a good episode for anybody that's looking for that little bit of motivation or kind of how to get going on the right track and how fitness and a little bit of nutrition can help you in the backcountry, not only with your physical ability, but with the mental side of things and why cheat days are good. So I don't have much more to say here before we get started. I hope you enjoy this podcast. If you listen to this podcast and you're interested in trying out some of Mountain Alpha's products, or you just want some swag from them or whatever it is, if you go to mountainalpha.com and you use the code BOWHIKE, all caps I believe, or maybe it's not case sensitive, I don't know, try it both ways. If you use the code BOWHIKE, one word, you will get 10% off of your entire order. So head over there, check them out. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode with James and Bryan of Mountain Alpha. All right, guys, here we go. I think we're good. Yeah. All right, so I got James and Bryan from Mountain Alpha on today. Guys, what's going on?
Living the dream.
Yeah, getting off shift, hanging out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just got to work in a 24 at a Life Flight last night, so I'm hitting on all cylinders this morning.
Oh, good. Yeah, you guys just sleep all day and then run transfers all night. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, well, Life Flight's different. I mean, we're air medical industry based helicopter. So we do scene flights, IFTs, fixed wing, helicopter transports. It's just kind of the slew of everything. So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. One of my good buddies, he works for Reach over on the coast. So that's their thing. He's on the fixed wing. So like all night long, they just fly transfers.
Oh man.
So,
yeah. I used to work for another company too. And we had fixed wing transfers and it was horrible.
Yeah, you guys get
up all night. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you catch a transfer like 30 minutes before you're off shift, and it takes 4 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, right on. Well, guys, what about a little intro on yourselves, backgrounds?
I'll let you go first. Me? Yeah. Okay. Pretty much grew up here in Oregon, born and raised in Central Oregon, here out of Bend. Pretty much the beer capital of the world now. I guess now everyone knows it. But, yeah, I was born and raised here in Bend, Oregon. Haven't really ever left Oregon. Never really found a reason to. So went to high school here, played some semi-professional sports here, and then fell in love with the area so much once I got older and actually really realized what it had to offer as far as recreation and hunting and fishing and just the outdoor life that really decided I wanted to stay here. And was lucky enough to kind of get in the fire service at a young age and started a career down in Prineville as a fire medic down there. I'm now captain paramedic down there and work for Life Flight and hunt and fish on my days off, man. It's living the dream.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I'm the same boat. I'm the older of us two. I got him by 3 years, except for the month of April, where our birthdays are pretty close together. But really similar background, obviously, since we're brothers. But we grew up on ranches, working hard, did a lot of cattle stuff, did some 4-H growing up, played sports all the way through high school, did some sports afterwards, and then really ended up chasing our careers pretty early.
Yeah.
Fairly young. I'm only 34. Started a family, had a daughter in February. My wife and I live here in Bend. And pretty much same thing, never wanted to leave the area, so we've made it home and kind of carved out a niche and a career here. And through all that, decided we wanted more than just day-to-day jobs and pursue some of our passions with the outdoors, so we started Mountain Alpha. And that's been a couple years running now. It's been pretty steady progress. And it really allows us to do something that we're super passionate about. Obviously, we love our careers in that path, but we really want to take stuff that we just can't stop thinking about 24/7 and share that with people and make some products that we thought the industry was lacking in, or could use some other options, and start bringing those out and build a family behind that. Family followers, we refer to them as kind of the Mountain Alpha family, but they're a really tight-knit group through social media. And it's been, we thought it'd be more hunting, but it's really kind of cross spectrum. We've got everything from professional athletes to your typical weekend warrior that's just trying to get after it, use their vacation days to get out in the field and get after it, pursue some of their passions. So we get to see it all, and it's been really rewarding on this end of things.
Yeah, it's been super fun. We've met a lot of really cool people along the way, and really it's been a blessing really in disguise for us, just being able to network with such amazing people, that share such a contagious mindset to just be successful in life. And it's been a lot of fun, like James just touched on. It's really kind of become its own family in a sense. I'm a hardcore CrossFitter, so the joke is, if you're vegan or CrossFitter, which one comes first that you talk about. But
yeah, I guess you have to tell everybody if you do either of those two things.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, really, the Mountain Alpha family is kind of that niche group where everyone is just super excited about everyone's success, and it's been a lot of fun to watch that kind of transpire and build.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like-minded individuals, and in situations like that, I think it generally the bad eggs get just weeded out naturally. They just don't survive. And when everybody else is like positive, like-minded, picking each other up, there's always like some bad egg that wants to talk crap. And normally like that guy, just without anybody having to do anything, like finds his way out of it. And that's what I've noticed. Like I did train to hunt last year, and I was kind of worried about it because like before I was just a frumpy, chunky guy working on the ambulance and lost a bunch of weight. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then I was kind of nervous about like who I'd meet, who I'd run into. And that's kind of what you find out, is that people that all like the same thing and all support each other, you don't really run into anybody that's it's hard to deal with for the most part.
Yeah, they really do weed themselves out really quick. And, it's kind of, I don't know. I thank them for taking the 3 minutes out of their day to find something I posted on Instagram or Facebook and read it and come up with a reason why they don't like it, and then keyboard warrior it, as I like to say. But
yeah,
it's really cool to just see how many people are just that different positive atmosphere out there, and how they really do just want other people to be successful and live a great life and have really cool experiences and support one another in that, and are willing to share goals or information or just knowledge, and just really touch on that to help that person be a better person and live that better life they want. It's
right. So how'd you guys, like, I understand you wanted to get something going that more aligned with your passions as far as outdoors and stuff, but like, what's the how and the why behind this whole Mountain Alpha thing starting? Like, were you guys just like, hey, we're going to do this, knock it out of the park? Or was there more of like a underlying reason? And then kind of, what was the process getting it going? Because I know a lot of people are interested in guys that are, I mean, you guys work full time, you got families, you're growing, this brand, and along with working 2 jobs or whatever you're doing, getting off shift, doing podcasts. And so I think a lot of guys are interested in the how and the why behind getting something like that off the ground. I don't know if you just put outdoors in an Instagram search, I feel like you'd find 18,000 pages that all have 100 followers. So like, those are the guys I'm trying to get through to here.
I think there's a lot of people that share very similar stuff. I mean, like you said, you see these pages and groups starting all the time, and it's super cool to see that there's that many people out there wanting to do it. And we started very similar to a lot of those people. We actually ran kind of a social media, I don't even know if we'd call it a business. It was more of an idea beforehand.
Yeah.
And we started all the way back in like 2006 or 7. And through that process, we learned a lot about the pursuit and what we were doing that was making us successful. But I think what we focused on too much there was actually what we were doing. And now, that was one of the things with Mountain Alpha. We made it about the people that we're with and less about what we're up to. You get to see a lot of what we're doing if you follow the social media, but ultimately the brand is for people, other people and their success. And so that was one of the growing points. And the other company we ran, really, I don't know, I wouldn't even refer to it as a company. The other idea that we had going, it picked up steam right off the start, petered out really fast. We tried to keep that alive, and we always just knew there was something there, but didn't know what it was going to be. And then Brian actually was the one that came up with the name. And it doesn't stand as much for actual physical mountains as it does kind of the mountains of your life and kind of the ups and downs and all the stuff that comes with that. And I think the mountain, as cliche as it is, it's a really good representation of really how life goes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so we stuck with that and then threw Alpha in the name just because that's really what we always strive to be. I think everybody that's competitive tries to be number one or tries to kind of lead the pack, and, you know, doing different things. You can't always be the leader, but I think striving to pick up a skill set or learn something new or just push yourself to try and be that person is really what we were going for. And so that whole name is kind of a reminder of there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, but we're always striving to try and find the best we can in that.
Sure.
That's my 2 cents on it. I think
Yeah.
Brian was kind of the brains behind the original launch of this new brand.
Yeah, I mean, like James said, we did some stuff in the past. It was really more hobby centered. We really wanted to, try to capture what made us successful and hunting or in life or whatever. And then really we didn't focus on the right things. And really when we looked at it, we loved more of the relationships we built with the people and the interactions, like I touched on earlier. And when we were doing stuff in the outdoors and just the kind of the hunting that we do and the interactions we have and just all the things, we really wanted a company that was going to be about the people that, became our family, became our tribe inside that, and what we could do for them. And then, it kind of has grown from there to, being backcountry hunters, we're always looking for the new, latest, greatest, best things. And, we took really what our passions were and tried to focus it down to how do we bring the best products, to people. And that's really where the business side of it landed. It was, if we find something, whether it be outdoors, fitness, life, really in that whole thing, if we think that we can do it better, we want to create the best product for people and have it be customer centered around them and allow them to be the best, most successful that they can be and get the greatest product and the best product they can get at the cheapest price. And so that's really kind of the business side of it. And then we just wanted, like we touched on earlier, is to build the brand and that platform for all those like-minded individuals to come together and just really push one another to be the best that they can be, whether it be, the best father, the best hunting athlete, the best backpacker, CrossFitter, ultra marathoner, professional baseball player, whatever it was. We wanted to create that platform for them to have and come to hopefully help achieve that.
Yeah, cool. So what's the future hold for you guys? Got anything in the works? I know you guys just dropped I don't know, how new was it that you put out the supplement that you guys put out?
Yeah, we put that out. Really, it was a whole year in R&D. So really for like the last year, we've been reading studies. Really kind of the fitness side is more kind of where I'm really passionate about, obviously being a CrossFit athlete.
Did you do CrossFit? You hadn't told me that yet.
Yeah, so I do CrossFit. And it's,
I was joking. You told me already.
Yeah, just give me any opportunity I can talk about it and I'll do it. But,
I'm going to start charging us royalties here.
I know it.
Yeah.
Dave Castro is going to come after me. But so I really wanted with that, I mean, obviously we train super hard and it translates over to hunting and really hunting in the backcountry and being that functional fitness and how do I get the best out of that. The big thing that I always hit with hunting is the type of hunting that me and James do is very hard. I feel like we really push ourselves. We really don't want anything in the hunt to dictate what we do.
Right.
So, the terrain, we don't really want the terrain, the weather, the physical demand, whether we're out there for 2 weeks, if we're lucky, pounding out every day, to dictate what we want to do and where we want to go to be successful. Mm-hmm. And looking for, the people that we hunt with, they all try different things. And with me being pretty fit-minded individual, working out my whole life, and in sports, I've tried a slew of recovery products, and nothing really ever worked for me. I would find little things about this product here that I liked, or that product there that I liked. And really the problem with the supplement industry nowadays is there's really no regulation on it, right? I mean, you can put anything that you want into a supplement and say, hey, consult your doctor before you take this, and there you go. And there's really, the companies aren't really held accountable for the stuff that they put out. And I feel like there's a lot of misinformation in there. And so
there's also a very big drive to create profit. Yeah. And so, that was one of the things that we decided up front when we first started, that's not going to be a driver for us. And,
right.
Not to take the reins away from Brian here a little bit, but that's an important part of it, is a lot of companies are really pushing, they need to see profit margin. And so there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're doing. That's not what we're doing. So we may stay small for a long time, but we're pushing value, and we want the value to be with the customer. And that's why we're still working 2 jobs each. We don't plan on changing that anytime soon. This isn't going to become, in the foreseeable future, a full-time job for us, or one that would take us away from what we're already doing. Our careers and our pursuit for finances is elsewhere. It's not in Mountain Alpha. And that's pretty important part of the brand for us right now. That might change, and that would be dictated by the customer base. They may grow so fast that it requires us to hire people and use that profit to make the company bigger, to support more customers. But that's not our goal, and that's pretty important to us.
Yeah. Joy and wealth are certainly separate. And if you guys are getting enough joy out of the way it's growing and the way that people are connecting within the brand, then I feel like that's all you guys need out of it, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm grasping from both of you guys. It's, if you can continue to cycle the money into the company, and by that create, this situation where people are bettering themselves, and that's all you guys want.
That's pretty much what we've done the last 2.5, 3 years with Mountain Alpha. Has really been, we haven't taken a penny out of it, or used that to any personal benefit. Everything cycled back into it, and we've actually all invested more into the company to help it grow in different areas.
So just to finish up your question there, we got kind of sidetracked, but I mean, really, we spent a year in R&D, and really, when we bring a product, when we started the supplement industry, we didn't want something that worked in the gym, right? I mean, they're a dime a dozen. You can go anywhere you want, and you got 19 different proprietary blends of 19 different products, and there's nothing on the label that tells you exactly what you're taking. And so when we made Recover Base, I read a lot of studies. What I really want out of a Recover product, I want it to be super clean. I know I take a lot of pride in what I put into my nutrition and my body and what I get out of it. I think we all kind of do as hunters, right? I mean, that's kind of why we hunt as well, not just for the passion outdoors, but we want lean, clean protein for our families.
Yeah.
And so when we made Recover Base, we really wanted a product that was super clean. You can read the label, you know exactly what's going into your body. And with that, we wanted to educate people. So if you go on to mountainalpha.com and you click on Recover Base, we're going to lay out everything that's in there, and then all the studies and the science that actually supports the reason why we're using, those substances in our Recover product and what they're going to do for you. And really, that's what we wanted to do with the supplement and side of our brand, because there's so many things out there that really the consumer gets lost in a product that they're going to take, right? I mean, the typical person goes to GNC or wherever, you pick up a product and you look at it, and it's just filled with stuff. You don't know what half that means.
Sure.
And so that's really why we made Recover Base, and is to give people the best recovery product that's going to work on the mountain. I mean, that's really where we tested it. If it works on the mountain, it's going to work in the gym.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that was kind of the whole driving force behind it. I wanted something that I could take when I was out there and was going to be super clean. This is going to be down and dirty, super easy to take, and get me the exact results that I wanted, so I could hunt harder for longer and be out there and increase the opportunity to have success. And then with that, like James touched on earlier, we didn't care how much it really cost us to make. We don't care if we make any profit margin on it. If it costs us X, we don't care if we sell it for X. We're not in it for the money. And
Sure.
so that's kind of like the whole reason why we got into it. We felt like that side of the market really needed some better products that were really for the people and not just to line people's pockets with money.
Yeah. So was the supplements always a plan when you got started? Because I know before it was kind of like you created this family of people, is what I'll call it. I mean, enough people that communicate enough and help each other out, or sometimes more family than blood family. But I know, and you're making clothing and stickers and hats and all that kind of stuff. When was the supplement idea always looming back there, and you just were trying to figure out how to get into it, or was it kind of like as you grew your brand, you realized that there was a need for it?
Yeah, well, everybody, I think there's a large group of people that take supplements, and there's a lot out there. So we were always kind of taking them, and we're, just like anybody else, we talk to people, we want to try and find something better, find something that works the best. And so even if we have something really good, we'll try something new just to see if it's better. And I think a lot of people do that. And
grass is always
that cycle for all the way since our sports way back. And so I don't know if we did always kind of had it there. I think we knew we would, if we ever got the opportunity to make something that worked really well, we would do it. I think that's kind of the people that we are. That was one of the discussions we had when we first decided to pursue it. It was like, man, this is going to cost a lot of money. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars out of pocket. And what we did is we heard a lot of questions from people in our following, and they're asking us, Brian's into his performance sports. I'm more into mountain performance and kind of endurance stuff. And a lot of the questions we get, start out with poking fun at me because he's, so athletic and does all that. So there's like, how do you keep up? And I'm like, well, I have to train really hard. I just don't look like it. So I think a lot of people are in that boat too. And, I was taking supplements as I got older to recover faster or push my trainings harder so I could essentially keep up and keep this really the way that we like to hunt, alive and well as we get older. I think a lot of people see that, but when we have to put in miles, we put in a lot of miles. And when we have to move weight, we move a lot of weight. And sometimes you do that not only to increase your opportunities, but you have to, when you start hunting with a group of people or a partner, you're there for them as much as you're there for yourself. And I think being kind of that unselfish pursuit, and it was like I had a need to stay at a certain level of fitness so that I didn't hold him back. And so that grew into taking more supplements and looking at what we can do to increase our training. And then through the training, it was like, man, we're killing our bodies. We need to be able to recover because we have all these other jobs that we have to perform at. So it really, through the research of all that, it grew into like, let's just see if we can make a product that's amazing. And that's what we came out with. So like Brent said, it took a year, but the feedback has been more than impressive. We thought that it worked really good. The people that are taking it are hands down, saying it's the best thing they've ever taken. And so that just fueled our fire to try and come up with some other stuff that might be beneficial. And we're not going to go and come out with every single supplement there is. And some people have some great products, and you ask us what we're taking, we'll tell you. I think some of that we're going to try and grow on. So we'll come out with one that we can, if we can't make it as good or better than someone else is doing, we're not going to waste our time there.
Sure.
But this one was a slam dunk, and the feedback's been impressive. We've got ultra marathoners putting in, 15 to 20 mile run efforts to try and get ready for marathons and ultra marathons. And they're coming back and saying, look, I got this product. I tried it. I've been on it for a week. I've put in, 50, 60 miles this week. And I had a 15 or 20 mile run effort this day at 80 or 90%. And I took your product and I'm not even sore the next day. Like, I'm a little tired, but I could go do it again. I'm not sore. My joints don't hurt. And so that is what we wanted to hear, and that's what we designed it for. So we're happy to see that people are seeing those results.
Yeah. Is that what you were targeting? Was the joint kind of like joints and
that was kind of my side of it because of the endurance thing. And obviously Brian, there's a lot of heavyweight in doing it. So
yeah,
what I wanted to see in it was, not as much inflammation in my joints. And I wanted to see that that soreness, especially your delayed onset soreness, which is what gets us in the mountains. You get some crazy idea, push up this mountain and gain 5, 8, 10,000 feet of elevation in a day and go hunt this base, and you get back there and it's awesome. And you hunt it, but you didn't bring camp with you, and then you got to drop back down to your base camp, and then the next day you're looking at that hill like, is it worth it? And I think a lot of people don't go up there the second day, or maybe not the third day. They go the second day and they can't hunt it as hard, and then the third day they're just done. And there's a lot of stuff that led up to it, and there's the training and everything, but the supplements actually add to your ability to do it, because it doesn't help you right there in the mountain, although you're taking it, it does. Where it really helps you is your ability to train in the off season. And I think we'll get into that a little bit here, what we do that keeps us successful in the off season. But that was the idea, was what allows us to train as hard as we can, so that when we have those opportunities, we're not tired, we're recovered.
Sure.
And we can get up there and go at it again. And day 6, day 7, we can push up that hill, or we can throw camp on our back and go 10 miles in there if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go 10 miles to go kill an elk or a deer, but that's what we like to do. And I think there's a lot of people out there that like to do that.
Yeah. People we live in such a soft world now that people enjoy, I think, the hardship, like putting themselves through it voluntarily rather than just like making it easy and driving around and shooting stuff. I don't know. At least it's more rewarding. I'll tell you that much. Like, it's painful when you've got 100 pounds on your back and you're coming out of a hellhole. I don't know if you guys have been over on the coast much, but it looks like some of that Canadian country over in Eastern Oregon. But it's like one of those things where you look over at your buddy and you're smiling. You hurt like hell, but you're smiling about it. So, yeah, I think the soreness and stuff, at least in my mild experience with it, I think a lot of it's just caused by, I think, calorie deficits. If you're, it's pretty hard to plan for. You don't know. One day you could bomb up that mountain 5,000 feet and in 2 miles or 3 miles, and then the next day you could be, cruising through the bottom of some drainage or something like that. And so the spikes and valleys of how many calories you're burning every day, it's pretty hard to account for. One day you could burn 6, 7, 8,000 calories, and then one day you're only burning 3,000. So I think that's that, and like protein deficits is where the soreness comes from. So does that help? Whatever is in your supplement helps with that soreness that we'd get anyways.
Yeah. So, when we built it, we, for our product, we have a slew of different things that are going to work on just different aspects of your body. You have the BCAAs in there to help stop the muscle breakdown and kind of conserve that muscle that you work, so hard in the preseason to put on. Mm-hmm. I think really hunting is, people don't really look at it like a sport, but it is. If you look at most hunters now, they are truly athletes. Mm-hmm. You have, the other avenues coming through, like the train to hunts and just the people wanting to be in better shape so they can stay out longer, hunt harder, put on more miles. And really, as an athlete, those are the things you need. We got glutamine in there to help the muscle recovery. We focused a lot of stuff on anti-inflammatories because just that without taking, like the ibuprofens and all that stuff, we wanted a natural way that was going to limit that and keep your body from having all that inflammatory response that you have from muscle breakdown, calorie deficits, the miles, the added weight of packing in and out, up and down hills and altitudes and all those things. Really, when we built this product, we took all those factors into account. And so nothing is going to beat proper nutrition. That's truly what a supplement is. It's a supplement, right? Because you're not getting those things that you need in your diet. Mm-hmm. And being like hunting and being out there during hunting season, you can't ever, like you just touched on, eat perfectly enough for your body to recover. And it's the same thing in training. You look at people's lives, you can meal prep and do all the things that you want to try to be successful. But still, like just in today's world, everyone's so busy with jobs and family and trying to get the, that training in preseason and, being up late, shooting your bow and trying to work out, that your body can't handle all that. And so when we when we sat down to brainstorm this, we took all those factors into account. and then really just hone that product to mitigate all those issues that you're going to come up with.
The first big question was, can we get all that into one product?
Yeah.
That was tough because we had some ideas on how we wanted it to look before. And then we had to throw some of those out the window and decide, like, can we get all this in one product, or is there a reason that everybody's got it separate?
And naturally. I mean,
yeah,
that's the hard part.
And have it all be natural based. And so we went back to saying, can we do that? And at the end of the day, the answer was yes. But along the path, we weren't 100% sure on that. And it came down to a lot of things, and that's why the cost was so high. It's essentially a 3-in-1. You're going to get your BCAAs, you get your electrolytes, and then you get these extra anti-inflammatories and some of the stuff in there that helps you not break down your muscle, keep the muscle you have hydrated, and then also really promote that protein synthesis. Like you said, you want to keep that protein pumped into your muscles. And, one quick experience I'd hit back to is early on in our backcountry hunting, we would go out and pound the woods or the hills for a week, and I would lose, 7, 8, 10 pounds.
Oh yeah.
You're a big guy. I'm losing 8 or 9% of my body weight. Back in those days doing that, and that was a lot to lose in a week of pounding the hills. And I had increased calorie intake, and it was, and I didn't realize you just come back and just hurt, as you recover from that. And it's like, it was kind of fun, and it definitely built some mental toughness in that. But we realized, like, if we want to go longer, it was taking us a month to train back to where we were before we left to go on a week-long hunt. And so we don't want that. We want to just turn around and do it again and do it again and do it again. And we realized it wasn't as healthy for us to do it, although it's a great fat loss program. So one of the things that we put in here help us. And now that we're doing that, we're able to put forth the same effort and lose almost nothing. And it is partially what we've changed in our diets out there, but some of these products have really helped us use what we carry. It sucks to carry a whole bunch of food, and if your body can't utilize it, it doesn't do good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the preseason stuff you guys do. I mean, I'm not even going to call it preseason because it's year round, right? So it's just one of those things, I think that as like September approaches, it's a panic ensuing moment for a lot of people. They're like, shoot, I haven't shot my bow since like May or March or whatever. And they don't even know if the thing's tuned, and then they don't know if they're in shape, and they got to go, like, they lost all their stuff that they use every year. So then they go buy more stuff. Like, it's just the most panic ensuing 4 weeks from like, August 1st to the start of September. And so
if you like chaos, it's great.
But yeah, I don't know about that, man. Like, I like totes with my stuff inside of it so that I can find it all. I'm like not the most organized, and there's always something that I'm like lose a headlamp or something, but I need to buy probably 20 of them and just put them everywhere, like fishing bags, hunting bags, everywhere, power outage bags. So what's the year-round look like? And obviously it looks different for both you guys. So like, what's it look like, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for both of us, but really a lot of it has a lot of similarity to it. With us being hunting partners, we really do hold each other accountable to getting our preseason reps in, as we like to say. But really the preseason for me is really focusing on, the big thing is we set goals after every year. So, after we come back, even when we're out hunting, we're sitting down taking our midday siesta. You have to have a good solid nap in every day that you're hunting. But just really, what are we trying to accomplish this year? Like, what do we want to do? And then what, goals of that has. Do we want to hunt a different basin from than we normally hunt? Do we want to expand where we hunt and our knowledge of it? Are we going to specifically target, X buck or an X caliber bull this next year? And then really, how are we going to get there? And I think that's what people have really kind of who we hunt with has taught me in the past, of having those good goals set forth. And what are we trying to accomplish kind of really drives my whole preseason. I mean, I have stuff in the preseason that I obviously work towards, whether it be competitions, or just, hey, this year I'm going to go kill a stud 6-point bull. So it could vary from one thing to the next really in my preseason.
The physical side of it's become a little bit easier for us, so maybe a little harder to talk about, just because we've done it for so long. We've made it a habit. And
Sure.
I think that's an important part of the discipline and having discipline. And you can have it for a week or 2 weeks or a month. And a lot of people have that in New Year's. And then you see 4 to 6 weeks out and it tapers off because it doesn't become new and fun anymore. It has to become a habit. So discipline to me isn't just having that like actual discipline to do it. It's doing it all the time until it becomes a habit. And then you get to the point where you look at some of these people and their physical side of it. They can't not do it. They're grumpy or you need to get your workout in. And I think you've been working out a ton. And I think you're probably starting to see that where it's like you just kind of crave going out there and doing some squats sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's where I was at yesterday. Like, I forget what Chantel said, but I grumbled at her for something. I'm like, all right, I need to go lift some weights. And then so now it's almost a requirement in the house. Like if I get short and selfish and grumpy, it's like, you need to go to the shop and make yourself useful and then come back and be decent. It's like, yeah, I get.
And that's the important thing, it's having those goals set. And we talked, Brian kind of hit on, we set some goals as far as like animals and whatever. We're tough. We're actually, I think, probably the most common type of hunter, even though the two other types, you're either your meat hunter, your trophy hunter, get all the press. But I think that they're the biggest group of hunters is people who really like to eat the animals they kill, but actually really want to kill big animals.
Yeah.
So how do you make that a consistent outcome? And, that's essentially exactly why we were here and exactly why we have the things that we do with that discipline and make a habit out of it. And we've had some great success since we started doing that, and above average success for the states that we hunt. And that was a win for us. And now to keep that up, those goals are super important because they motivate us in our times of weakness, or it can be any type of goal. Physical goal can be the actual end outcome. A quick example would be, I want to kill a 200-inch buck this year. I've shot a whole bunch of bucks in the 180 to 190. I just haven't broke that 200-inch mark yet. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit of luck. You got to be able to find one. But also you just remove all the luck from it and you put in the hard work, and it's going to get you there. Like, those bucks exist. They're somewhere here in the area that I can hunt. It may take 5 times the amount of work it's taken me to kill a 190 buck to find a 200 buck. A lot of factors have to line up, but it's doable. And so the fact that it's doable makes it something that I'm going to put heart and soul into pursuing. And if that's the extra physical training, and then add in a bunch of mental toughness and grit, sometimes it's going to be days and days and days. I might go 6-8 weeks without even seeing a buck of that caliber.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot, but they give you a measurable objective, and it puts you on a path to success. And that's the important part of it. Sometimes the successes you get, even in a year or 2 years, aren't your ultimate. I'm sure there's people out there that want to shoot that 300-inch bull, and it might not happen this year, but I guarantee you, if you set a plan for yourself and you set some goals in this off season, you're going to have a lot better opportunity or chance at that. And either way, you're going to find small successes in those goals because you're going to be able to, make yourself healthier. You're going to get in better shape. You're going to build some relationships with other people that might be able to help you out or put you in some areas where you have opportunity, or you might find your hunting partner through your pursuit of the physical side of it.
Right.
So there's a lot you find just by setting yourself on a path and staying disciplined.
Yeah. And I think, like you talked about, like the whole preseason stuff. I mean, there's so many things that go into the preseason that we kind of outline, like one is like our goal setting, whatever it is, like for me this next year, my whole goal is just to have more fun when I'm hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Just really enjoy the whole process again. I've kind of gotten away from that for the last couple of years, just being driven to kill. I want to kill big animals, but I also want to put meat in my freezer. And so I've had it in the past where hunting's almost became more like a job, where I didn't really enjoy the process. And so for me, that's my number one goal this year, is to really just enjoy it and the people that we hunt with. And like my girlfriend's going to start hunting this year, which is going to be really her first year. So I think really it's going to be a good process of just making her successful. And that's one of my goals this year, is to do that. And then, obviously the physical side comes in, but, every year when we're out there, we want to do new gear research. So we want the latest and greatest, whatever. So we spend a lot of time in the preseason really looking at new gear, what's coming out, what is going to help make our stays more comfortable and, make it more successful. And so
is it a cool new gadget or does it actually work? And I think that's a lot of energy and effort and time we put into that type of stuff. It's like, oh, this is new and cool, but does it work better than what we already have?
Right. Well, just like the supplements.
And sometimes it's a definite no, or, it's in the middle. It doesn't work any better, so don't waste our money on it. And I think everybody's, with the exception of, some of the elites, there's, some financial restrictions on being able to go after any of your pursuits. And with the way that hunting is going, it's becoming a very expensive pursuit and hobby, if you will, with some of that stuff. So to pursue it year round is even more expensive. So you got to, factor in all that stuff.
Right.
So setting goals, that's a really big one for us. And we'll hit on the mental side of it at some point, but
yeah.
Did you want to go to
what's like a week look like for you as far as like your physical training?
It kind of depends on my work schedule. The important part of it is that I get the physical training in at some point. And so with a new family and a pretty busy schedule, to give people an idea, with my fire job, I work 24-hour shifts. So I work 3 days a week, 24s. So that usually leaves me pretty tired getting off shift, and then throw in my part-time job. I also work 24s there. So I'm working usually 3 to 4 24-hour shifts a week, which leaves me about 3 days to do all my house stuff, family and everything. It doesn't totally prohibit me from doing some of my workouts at work, but I have a job to perform while I'm there, so I can't necessarily go as hard as I want to sometimes. So it's really just making that time, and then what am I looking to get out of it? And I think the build up to whatever our next adventure is dictates kind of what we're training for. And some people want to do this and you get X, but the reality is when we're training for an upcoming bear hunt in steep country in the eastern side of the state, our training is different than when we're training for September, or we're getting ready to go after mule deer, or even mule deer in the preseason versus mule deer in the rut. So we train quite a bit different on all that stuff, and it really is dictated by what our next pursuit's going to be. So a typical week for me, I'm definitely going to get cardio in. It's important because it helps with the endurance side of everything. And then strength training is basically really, for me, wrapped around what I think I'm going to be doing. I have a baseline that I want to maintain, so I'm always doing legs and strength stuff, but it'll really ramp up when I know I'm going to be packing a lot of meat, or we're going to be packing camp back and forth, or packing camp all over the place because we want to try something different. So it's really just kind of a really solid baseline. It took me a couple of years to get to this baseline where I feel like I can pick up a pack, pick up a weapon, or really pick up a camera or spotting scope for that matter, and go to where I want to go, do what I want to do, and not just crush myself for 3 days afterwards. So it's finding that baseline, what type of hunting you want to do, or what type of pursuit you're going to have, and then get to that baseline and then maintain it. And that's where the discipline really comes in, because you have to do something almost every day to help maintain that. So, I mean, if you want more specifics, it's really just strength training 2 to 3 times a week, cardio by itself at least once or twice, and then some warm-up cardio or some cool-down cardio after those strength days. So it's actually a fairly intense program, but that said, I can get all that done in less than an hour a day.
Good, yeah. And then, Brian, is it just CrossFit for you, or you train at home or at the gym also?
Yeah, I do both. I mean, really, it really kind of depends on the time of year for me. Just because with CrossFit, I do a lot of competitions, whether it be the open going on, or like I got 2 different competitions coming up this month, one in May, a couple in June, another in July. And then me and my girlfriend are doing one, I think, in August. And so it's really trying to take all that into account. Luckily, the type of competitions I do translate directly over into hunting. So like James said, it really kind of depends on what we're going after, whether it be if we're going to be going bear hunting, obviously the physical demands of that are completely different than elk or deer season where we're just putting on miles. And so, when I hunt, the type of hunting that we do, it is a lot of endurance based, lots and lots of miles, lots of elevation gain and down, carrying mid to heavyweight packs around. And so for me, I try to stay lean throughout the entire year. And then in the winter months, that's when I try to put on my lean muscle mass, because I'm not, trying to log 10, 15 mile days and then be able to carry enough food on my back to sustain that. And so, for me, I figured out that I operate really well around the 187 to 192 pound mark. Like, I feel like lethal, for lack of a better definition of that term. I can carry a ton of weight. I have great endurance. I have enough stores for when I'm hunting. I don't have enough calories for that day that I can function well. And I think that's a big part for people. You can get really caught up in the, I'm going to train a ton.
When we first started, we strength trained like crazy because we felt pretty weak. And then when we got out there, I remember the first hunt we went on after that, we both put on a lot of muscle. We were super happy with where we were at, and we were miserable that entire hunt.
Yeah.
Every conversation was about cheeseburgers and how hungry we were. And we brought a lot of food. I mean, we were constantly eating, but we just weren't getting what our body needed. And it was actually pretty miserable to be out there when we were at our biggest muscle mass. We'd done some amazing training. We set some great goals. We hit those goals. We went into the season super pumped, and then day 2, we were miserable. The wheels just came off in the train.
There was multiple times in there where I'm going to hike out and go buy cheeseburgers and come back in. But and so I think, really everybody gets caught up in have to be super physical. You have, there's a huge spectrum, right? Like, you have the Cameron Haynes model, where the guy is just an absolute freak and runs a marathon a day and strength trains and does all that stuff. And then you have the people that, obviously don't want to do that. They just want to be in shape enough to go have fun and not be miserable doing it. And so I think for each individual, everybody's body type is different. Everybody's diet's different. Like me, I live for as much as I compete and as hard as I want to hunt, I live a pretty carefree lifestyle. If I want pizza, I'm going to go eat pizza. If I want to drink 6 beers tonight, I'm going to go drink 6 beers tonight.
Sure.
And I think that is just as important as having a routine and a daily thing that makes you successful. If I'm training really hard for a competition, I'm putting in literally 14 to 21 training sessions a week. Right. So that's 2 to 3 times in the gym, almost an hour a day training, which most people can't do that. And that's okay. That's just the lifestyle that I want to live. But then I also have that period where I, completely taper off, where I might not work out for a month. Mm-hmm. Super healthy for your body to have that too, so you can repair and rebuild and not constantly break yourself down. And just the mentality of putting that much effort in the gym will just wear on you. And so I think people have to figure out what works for them and, what meets their goals that they want, and then tailor their program to that. And then that goes right along with your diet.
And we've had a lot of people contact us, they ask us kind of the same questions you are. What do you do? And we can tell you what we do, but it might not work for you.
Sure.
It probably won't, actually, because you'll find some similarities, and I think right off, anything works good for somebody who's not doing much. But then you find you get to your first plateau, and you're like, man, now what do I do? And that's probably the hardest barrier to break through. And I had some trouble doing that. And I was going to Brian hey, I'm right here. I want to lift more. He's like, well, that might just be what your body maintains. And what I found through the years is I'll get to some of those, and you can break through them if you're really trying to strength train hard. And you might have a goal, and I did, where you got to get to where you want to be able to, squat a certain amount or carry a certain amount over distance for time. And those were some hard ones to get to. And I did them long enough that it's kind of my baseline now. But finding out what your body will maintain for you without a ton of extra effort is actually probably more important than having some crazy complex regimen, because you'll just be happy where you're at. You'll be able to actually go out and do what you want to do, and your body won't break down on you. And you won't suffer a lot of injuries by trying to push it further than it actually can. Because people are really different. You take Cameron Haynes into account. Yeah, the guy's a stud. Who knows if he gets injured or not? I'm assuming he probably has some, but he's got just a mental toughness
Right.
Gets them through a lot of that. So, but that said, you can't do it forever. You see a lot of these athletes that train at such a high level, and they're 40 or 50 and they're basically crippled.
Yeah.
That's also a big concern of ours, is we don't want to do that. And so anyway, we can get into more of that at some point, but it's not as much the preseason side of it. But it is important. I think a lot of people don't want to get hurt. And we definitely want to get hurt. It keeps us out of our mountain, keeps us out of the mountains and out of what we want to be doing.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. What you were talking about right now is that I feel like I'm still in the infancy of like learning where I need to be. And so I want to say last year and so December of 17, I was like 185. So I had lost a bunch of weight and then like gained the Christmas weight back. Just what you guys were talking about, trained super hard. And then I was like, screw this, not doing it. Ate a bunch of food, got fat again. And then I was like, all right, I got to do something. So like trained super hard for 5 months and like ate almost, I would say like super low carb. I'm like, I'm not going to stick to a keto diet. Like that sounds awful. If like you said, if I want pizza, I'm going to smash some pizza. I think moderation is a huge thing that I always think about is like, if you want something, just go freaking eat it, but don't do it every day. Like if you want ice cream, Chantel and I will like smash a thing of ice cream. And then it's like, all right, well now we're not going to buy ice cream for a month or whatever. That's fine. I think it's fine. And I guess for some people, maybe not. Like if you let yourself slip up one time, then you're screwed. But if you have, I think the more you train, the more mentally tough you get. And then with that, I think everything, it's just a big like ladder of just like, as you climb up it, everything gets easier. It gets easier to like not eat the cheeseburger if you know you shouldn't have it, or like, not drink 6 beers if you don't think you should or whatever. I think that gets easier as you train because training is hard. Yeah. And so I like did all that. And then I realized like I got down from 190 to 160. I'm 5'8". I got down to 160. I was like pretty lean and I couldn't put on any muscle. I was like, I don't know, just doing everything for reps, just like deadlifting 135 for 20 reps. And I'm like, yeah, I'm jacked. Anyway, so then I was like, okay, I need to get stronger. Like this is really ticking me off. So now I'm like kind of in almost a schedule what you were talking about, where I strength train 2 or 3 times a week, like going back and forth, and just like squats, deadlifts, and presses and cleans and that kind of stuff. And then obviously cardio and like some circuit training. I guess I'm just like a smorgasbord of training stuff, but it works. And I think there's a difference in exercise and training also. And like with you guys talking about training based on your goals and what you're planning on doing, I think that's more training. And if you just, you're like power walking around the block, you're kind of exercising, or, doing random things that you think are going to work here and there. Like, I don't know. It seems.
Yeah. Here's a good example of like a way to measure that. So it's funny because we try and take the gym and our training and like directly correlate it to performance while you're hunting. It's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
When you're hunting, you're moving slower, like all that type of stuff. And so a good one is, and you don't see very many people doing this, even though it would be very beneficial to them, is throw on a typical pack weight. Maybe your camp pack at, 27 to 35 pounds, depending on what type of weather you think you're going to be in, or it might be actually packing meat. And Train to Hunt does a great job of simulating some of this stuff. But simulate what you think you're going to be doing and go measure that. Throw your pack on. Find a hill or a trail that's a couple miles through undulating terrain, and time yourself on a hike. And you don't have to push yourself super hard, but like actually push yourself to a pace that'd be like, I want to be able to maintain this pace for the whole time, and go do that and see how you feel. And then you've got kind of a mental note of what you felt like, and you've got a physical note of how much time that took, and you can see what your recovery is going to be like after you push yourself like that in the mountains. And then you'll be able to identify some of your weaknesses, where it might be cardio, it might be leg strength, it might just be core strength where your pack is just crushing you. And then go work on those for a couple weeks. Don't completely neglect the other stuff, but focus on what your weaknesses were. And you might have to really look and see, is it core strength? Is it leg strength? Is it a little bit of both? You might have a bunch of weaknesses, so you just need to do some overall stuff for a while. But decide what that is, and then train or talk to some people and get a little program going for yourself, do it for a couple of weeks and go back and measure it. And that's where you see the goals. And I think what people mistakenly do is they train hard all year and they get to September and they feel good because they've made some physical changes and they hunt better, but they're still tired or still wore out, or day 4 or 5, they still want to spend a day in camp to recuperate in September. And then their goal at the end of it is just next year, like, oh, I want to be in better shape. So they hit the gym super hard all year and they get to September and they have actually very similar experience, even though they've put on more weight or their cardio is a little bit better, because they didn't train for exactly what they thought they were going to be doing.
Right.
What they needed to do that year was different.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a couple of years to really find out what you want to do. And then if you change your hunting area, and I'm sure that you've seen that, you change your area, you go hunt on the coast, you're going to have a completely different experience versus flatlanding it somewhere. So in-shape elk hunter is not just an in-shape elk hunter. It really is determined by the region you're hunting in.
Yeah. Especially being my height, I have to do a lot of overhead stuff. Got to carry my bow over the ferns. And then if there's some way to simulate getting hit in the face with blackberries repetitively for 4 or 5 hours, somebody let me know. So, it's the worst.
So it's finding something like that and then keep measuring yourself against it. And that's the important part, is keep measuring yourself, because you're going to get to that plateau and then it's just bringing the rest of your weaknesses up to it. So that you can have a really good baseline.
Yeah, consistency really is the key. I mean, in any kind of off-season workout program, you just have to be consistent. It's the same thing with your diet, and just because you have one meal doesn't mean you're off the the railroad of oh, now I'm going down this black hole of no return. Man, if you eat pizza, fine, just change your diet the next meal, just get back on track. And so, like we touched on, really you just have to find out what works for you. Something that helps make me successful is I always try to incorporate 2 days of elevated heart rate shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm running, I'll do 1 sprint up and down the road, go pick up my bow, shoot an arrow, do a bunch of push-ups, shoot an arrow, make my legs burn really bad doing a ton of air squats and then shoot, because I want my body to know what it feels like under those stressors.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what people kind of lack too, is that real life simulation of, whether it be you hold, I'll incorporate where I hold my bow to almost my max effort 1 day a week. So I'll just do max effort holds where I literally can't hold my bow back anymore at 20 yards and then just shoot for form. And it's so, when that bull walks out or that buck walks out, I'm at full draw and I got to hold it for, who knows how long until that opportunity presents itself to shoot. I know what I feel like in that. So it's a familiar territory for my brain to be in. And I don't get that anxiety or that panic set in of, oh, things aren't going the way that I thought that they should go. And now I'm in a panic mode to make this happen. And I think people have to get outside their comfort zones a little bit. And that's very important to put it in their training, because then how to react in those certain incidences. I mean, I can tell you the first couple times I did it and I was, my heart rate's tacking out at 190 from running hill sprints, and I go pick up my bow. Me drawing that bow is completely different than when I draw it 100% rested.
Oh, yeah.
And so, that's how I try to incorporate my week of training. I do strength, like James said. I do strength probably 4 times a week. I have 1 day where it's just pure recovery, and I really focus on my form for archery, put a ton of reps in that day. And then 3 days I have, high cardio endurance type training, but I try to shoot every 5 days a week, and then just build in those different things, whether it be stretching out long range, shooting at 100 yards just to get outside my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm shooting at 40, it seems a lot easier. And then a day of just form, and then a day of reps and different yardages and different angles. And I think, you need to incorporate all of that to be successful, because it's all going to come up when you're in the backcountry somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's that specified training.
Yeah.
And then jumping off that bandwagon, I think because we covered that thing pretty dang good. I think there's a lot of good info for somebody that's looking to get into, just making themselves a little bit better or more successful. You guys hammer some sheds. Is that part of you guys go find sheds, know what bucks you're looking for? I know the migration's different over there. Deer don't really migrate over here. If you find antlers, you're going to find the buck there next year. Is it kind of that way over there, or what do you get?
No, and we found that through the years, the deer really migrate. And I think that there's some great, like Wyoming is starting to do it. Oregon had just released one. They're really starting to show like how, and this is a whole different topic and podcast. Mule deer are near and dear to my heart. So they have some huge migration corridors and they migrate quite a ways. To our surprise, we've turned up bucks that we ended up hunting in the winter range a long ways. I would say, I don't know, it's probably 40 miles away. And we're like, that is that same buck when we see him out on the winter range. And, there's this awe. There's no way that that's the same deer we have on a camera. And I'm convinced it's the same deer. I mean, the migration corridor and stuff was right there. So I would say they move quite a ways. But as far as shed hunting, it's not as much of a passion for us as it is for some other people. We get after it because it's something we can do this time of year.
Yeah.
And just for the love we have for just being out there, it's a good thing to go do. Again, it's another expense. You're going to spend lots of time and money and fuel and all sorts of stuff, but it's fun and it's not one of our huge pursuits, but we enjoy it. And it really is actually a stepping stone for us getting ready for bear season. And so we're getting out and pounding a bunch of miles on really bad terrain, and we're making sure that after walking around and not getting ourselves hurt through the winter and the crazy snow that we get where we live, we can't be outside all the time. It's getting our ankles warmed back up. It's getting our eyes ready to see game. There's a lot of stuff that it does for us besides just being able to get outside and kind of break that cabin fever.
Yeah, we'll test a lot of like new gear and stuff then too. Whether it be we're putting new boots on, we want to see how they feel, like what hot spots am I getting. We'll try layering systems out. It's a perfect time to really kind of start building that new gear research too. It's like a perfect time because it's almost like fall type weather, right? Like especially here on the high desert. I mean, yesterday's a perfect example, or the day before when we're doing some shed hunting. It's we're pounding out 12, 15 miles. But it's in the morning starts out super cold, like foggy, misty, almost semi-type rain. To at the end of the day, you're stripping everything off, trying to get in a t-shirt and shorts because it's 60 degrees out. So we can really kind of hone our layering systems of, we'll log it, hey, this is how it started out. This is, just mental notes. This is how I dressed. These are the kind of layers I had on. This is where I ended up. And so it really kind of lets us build those layer systems for later in the year and find out, what works and what doesn't. I don't know. It's fun. Yeah. Something to do.
Happen to find a few good ones. So.
Right. Without actually ruining a hunt you care about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a good reason to get my dog, to keep my dog from being fat is like my main shed hunting. I'm terrible at it. I find like 3 or 4 antlers a year is all, but they're hard to find over here. I think there's a lot of critters that chew on them. And
dude, that's all I do. I nature walk. I'm a horrible shed hunter.
Yeah, this year's been his best year, actually.
Yeah, I actually found like 4 sheds this year. Usually, I just walk. James picks them all up. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Let me film you. That's where the name come from, because I just walk around with a bow. It's bow hiking. Yeah. It's the same thing. So I mean, all that aside, all the things that obviously we have a lot of similarities in as far as wanting to get out, exercising, decent amount of nutrition, wanting to hunt all the time. One thing that always irks me when somebody's like, oh, I don't have time to do that because I'm busy. Like, we all know how it is. I work 24s as well, and pick up, 12-hour shifts in town, and that eats up a ton of my time. But like, you find some time, right? There's always a way to find some time. So like, I don't know, the gym that I was going to closes at 9:00. So like, what do? It's dark out and you can't do anything else. Well, like, I was just like doing box exercises with a sandbag and my cooler. So like, there's a way to get it done. And so how do you guys manage to make time being so busy? Like, obviously, Brian, I guess it works out for you because your main other affair besides work is fitness with competing in CrossFit, being a competitive athlete. But like, where does it come in? Obviously, you have to prioritize things. Is it more important to
watch the new episode that, like Born and Raised dropped on YouTube, or do I need to go get after it and do that another day? So like, do you guys even think about it anymore, or is it such a habit that it just
I think our careers probably have taught us some of this, but it comes down to time management. Like I said, I get my workouts in a short amount of time. That being said, I've taken a whole day to get a workout in before, just because don't have a big block of time I can set aside, but I'm saying, hey, I got 10 minutes right here. I'm going to do a bunch of air squats. And then the next little block of time I have, I'm going to do a bunch of push-ups. And the next block of time I have, I'm going to do some squat jumps or something. Mm-hmm. And, there might be in a position where you can't do that because you don't want to get all sweaty at work or whatever. But you can find a time somewhere that it's all about making the time. You can find time everywhere, but it's whether or not you make that time useful for you. And it's super easy to make the excuse. But you would be surprised how much you can get in just by saying, I'm going to do 25 push-ups every time a commercial comes on. If I'm going to watch this TV show with my wife, whatever, like TV show comes on, or you're watching TV show, commercial comes on, knock out 25 push-ups. I guarantee you'll be done with the push-ups before the commercials are over.
Oh yeah.
You'll still have time to go refill your beer, but
important.
Yeah. It's using stuff like that, and that helps build discipline. It also helps build your resilience, because it's actually the exact opposite of what you really want to do right there. What you really want to do is watch TV. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy how it rewires your brain over time to just being like, it's no factor. You're just like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. And it really has helped us in the mountains, because it's really everything out there is dictated by trying to create that opportunity. And if you go into it with a plan of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go call a bull in at X time in the morning, and then we're going to do, like, your day is pretty much up before the sun comes up, and then it's completely dictated by something else, whether you really think about it that way or not. I would challenge people to think about it that way, because everything you do is dictated by the need to intake calories or create the next opportunity. Otherwise, you're just hanging out and kind of letting, hope take its course. You hope a big elk walks by or something. But it requires an effort. Everything you do out there requires an effort, and it's usually dictated by something else other than yourself or just your want to go do it. You can repeat the same thing over and over and over again. I think there's some definition of insanity somewhere. And in nature, fortunately, a few people get lucky just by repeating the same thing.
Yeah.
But to create opportunity, you have to actually go put yourself in the favor of that opportunity. So.
Right. I really like the saying of creating opportunity, because it's not, a lot of us, it's never going to be handed to us. Like, I'm actually going to make a t-shirt about road sheds, because one of my buddies, he like never fails throughout the year to pick up like 3 sheds in the middle of the road. Like, how many people have driven by this ditch, like this ditch line, and not seen this 5-point bull shed sitting in the ditch? You just put her in park and grab the shed.
So I just picked one up the other day. I decided to go for a 4 or 5 mile run. Hadn't gone anywhere. I'm like, I got an hour of daylight left. I'm going to go pound out 4 or 5 miles. Threw my running clothes on, took off down the road, picked up a shed like 1.5 miles from my house, laying in the ditch. I don't know how long it's been there, but
yeah. See, it's ridiculous. So I'm gonna have a "Give Me the Road Shed" t-shirt, because I think it's funny. So yeah, I think that does tie into the exercise versus training thing again, though. It's like something I've heard. I can't remember where I heard it at. It was somebody else's podcast, so I hope I don't owe them money. But like with you, like, we train when we don't feel good. If you're just exercising, you're like, oh, I feel like trash, I'll just leave it for tomorrow or whatever. Like, if you don't have that goal, like you guys are talking about, and I'm horrible about setting goals. My goals are like, gonna buy a house. Like, how are you gonna get there? I don't know. I'm just gonna figure it out, right? Like, setting the micro, like, you got to set a year goal, and then monthly goals, and then weekly goals, and then a daily goal, and then a couple goals a day to be able to reach this goal at the end of the year. People that are really good at setting goals are good at doing that. So, like, can your goal be to set more goals? I think that's a goal.
It's the difference between having, you have this long-term plan to buy a house, but what are the things that you need to do to make that happen? Those are truly your goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all your planning and preparation for that opportunity meet actually taking an action. And the hardest part, I think, is for those people to and us included, is to take that action. And every day it's a challenge. You can't just decide one day, like, I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity I can. To do that is great and it sounds awesome, but it requires actually taking that action when that opportunity comes up, to do that training, to do that extra shooting, to not eat that bad food, whatever it may be. You have to mentally and physically make an action. Otherwise you're not going to see improvement.
Right. And so with how the training helps during hunting season, I think a lot of that, if you don't feel good, if you guys don't feel good, you're still going to go to the gym. If you're a little under the weather or whatever, like, you're still going to go train. And so I think that just directly correlates to, like, what you were saying earlier. Your muscles are hurting, but you want to get and hunt this other basin. Like, you're still going to go do it because you're mentally tough from however many years you've been training for, and you feel like garbage, or your buddies want to go do something right now, and instead of just jumping in the truck with them now and going and doing whatever, you're like, hey, I'll meet you there in 45 minutes. I got to get some reps in, and then I'll be there. Those little, like, everyday micro wins of beating temptation to, what you should do, and rather you go do what you don't want to do right then. I think that correlates right into hunting season of, like, two people that both share the mindset of, like, we got to get up there and see what's on the other side of the mountain, can help each other if they have a similar mindset and they've been winning all year over this, like, well, there's probably a deer right down here in this creek bottom. You guys can just go cruise up that thing. Sounds way easier. Great place to nap. There's some shade down there. Like, go check it out. Instead, you've been winning and you've been grinding, and that means you can do it all year round.
So, and it's important to find what motivates you. And sometimes it's what motivates you in the moment, and sometimes it's what motivates you to set that goal. And so here's a great example back to the hunting side of it is we learned this lesson through a guy. We didn't even have to learn it the hard way, which is great. You're hunting with Jim Dean from Jimmy Tarps.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, and this is all through his story. We didn't even get to live it out with him, but he was camped in a different area, and we'd been all hitting it hard for days. We communicated a little bit on the radios back and forth, and turns out we both killed our best bulls to date on the same day and didn't even know it until later. And the conversation we had, there's like this light bulb that came on with, like, that's a key thing. So he had explained to us how he was laying in bed that morning, and anybody who knows Jim, he puts on some serious miles. He's a great hunter. But even those people get worn down, and he was like, I'm going to stay in camp today. I'm going to recover. And was just laying in his sleeping bag and heard some bull bugle off in the distance. And he said he just laid there and thought to himself, like, really, that's why I'm here. Like, there's elk bugling. That's why I'm here. Why am I not getting up right now? And he said he had some conversation with himself and decided, like, I can sleep later. I can rest later or whatever. I'm going to get up. So he got up. He said he, like, threw his stuff together now that he was running late because he convinced himself to sleep in, kind of took the off road. Well, then he doesn't get breakfast and he goes after this. He ends up shooting a big 7-point bull like 30 or 40 minutes later, just because he forced himself to do what 15 minutes ago he's convinced was super hard. He gave himself an out. He made an excuse. And then he just wrote all that off, got up, put his boots on, and got to work and created that opportunity. And Cat was able to capitalize on it, killed his biggest bull to date. And so that was one of those things that we're just like learning from that. We were like, we're not going to do that. That's why we train. We don't train to come out here and sleep in our tent or get extra. We come out here to try and make that opportunity. And so you never know when the one that you're going to capitalize on is going to be the next one. So,
yeah. I mean, if you follow us on social media enough, I think, like, one of me and James's biggest sayings is there's only so many Septembers in a lifetime, right? I mean, you're going to only be able to hunt so many elk seasons or so many deer seasons, or, I mean, whatever passion you have. There's only so much time, here on earth that you're actually going to get allotted to actually go do that. I think, that's part of creating that opportunity, is to maximize just your time out there. I mean, you talked about, how I manage that stuff. James talked on his time management, but I gear my whole year on not to have a wheelhouse, whether it be from, going to a CrossFit competition. I train every movement I train at what I suck at. So when that comes up, it's not a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And I, same thing when, for hunting in life, like I train not to have a wheelhouse. I train not to have to be limited to an area that I know, that I'm going to see elk in. Like
trying to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't want to be comfortable like where I have to go to this area because that's the only thing I know. Like I want to not be limited by anything. And I think that's what drives me and my goals and my preseasons of like why I get workouts in, why I go shoot my bow when I don't want to shoot my bow, like why I get up and go hammer a run at 4 a.m. because I know I'm not going to be able to do it later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I don't want to be limited by anything. I don't want that weakness to come up when it comes up. And it's the same thing, like that story that James just touched on. I don't want to ever be put in a position where I'm mentally trying to give myself an out.
Right.
I don't want to feel that bad. Like I just want to like every day just get up and be like, well, okay, well I guess I'm more sore today. That sucks.
Yeah. It's easier when you have a partner because they don't allow you to make as many excuses. When you're laying in your tent, you're just like, man, I'm beat. You know what you're going to do today, and you're not really looking forward to your feet hurting or whatever it is on day X. And then you hear that person getting up and you hear their jet boil fire up or whatever. And you're just like, man, can't let that person down. So
right.
that makes it easier. But it's doing it so that you don't put yourself in that position. How are you going to be the first guy up every morning if you're hunting with a group of people? Like part of that's making it so that you're mentally tough enough that you're going to motivate the rest of these people. And they may not even realize it, but you getting up and them hearing your zipper and firing up your jet boil is what got them out of bed, and they shoot the biggest bull of their life that day. 10 seconds either way might have made that complete difference. And so sometimes it's just taking that tribe of people that you want to see be successful, and you get up because you want them to be successful too. Sure. And so even when we're not with each other, you're motivating those people. And that's what we try and do with our brands, kind of circling back to that. It's the people that have followed us, you'll know, because we hit you up all the time. We see you doing a run or see you doing something hard, or even the opposite. We don't see you do anything for a while. We'll make a little bit of time. We kind of scroll through that. We keep track of a lot of people, and there's some people that have made some crazy success stories out of where they were and where they are now. But we'll hit you up and chat you up about what you're doing that makes you successful and what's making those dreams come true for you. And then if you're not achieving them, we're right there to motivate you. And I think that's part of it. And we're not the only ones doing it. And that's where we said that tribe of people has kind of been built behind it. It's funny to see the connections that have happened just in the group. There's been some hunting friendships and partnerships forged. We've made some. We know other people have made some. There's some groups of runners and people that work out together that had never even met. And some of them don't even live close to each other, but they have similar plans and they hold each other accountable. So that has been a huge part of it. And that creates that mental toughness and discipline and ultimately resilience.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're running pretty long here. If people want to check it out, join the family, as you guys call it, join the team and check out your stuff, where do they find you at?
Yeah, you can find us on social media. Search Mountain Alpha. You'll see our red and blue logo.
Okay.
That's us. Both of us run our own Instagram accounts on the side, and then mountainalpha.com. Super easy, all one word. You can find the links to all that stuff. There's some videos of a couple of our hunts. There'll be some more of that stuff coming out. And yeah, hit us up.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Oh yeah. And if they hit you up, they could use Bowhike as a discount code.
That's right.
I forgot about that. Yeah, 10% off. So go buy something. Right on, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. And obviously, we touched on a few things that could be podcasts in themselves. So I think we'll be back to a few more in the future. And hopefully we put something together, get together, and do something soon. So if you guys don't have anything else, I think we're going to log her off here.
No, we'd love to.
Thanks for having us on.
Cool, yeah. No, thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it.
I hope everybody finds success this spring. I know we're all going to be out there hitting the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started today for me, and it was raining, and now the sun's starting to shine. So you can guess where I'll be in the next 4 or 5 hours. So right on, guys.
Good luck, man.
All right. All right. Thanks again for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I enjoyed recording it, and I'm certainly going to have James and Bryan back on the show. Coming up, I've got a Q&A episode that's been requested that I do. So I don't know how well that's going to go. Just me talking. I don't know how that's going to fly. But I guess we'll find out because one of my listeners has asked that I do a question and answer episode. So shoot some questions at me. You guys know how to get a hold of me. RoyceChambers116 at gmail.com. You can get a hold of me on Instagram at the Bowhike Podcast or Facebook at the Bowhike Podcast. Shoot me a message with your question. Let me know. Other than that, guys, hit me up for some stickers. Hit me up for anything you need. Hopefully, I shouldn't say hopefully. Definitely will be putting out some more episodes. I really miss reaching out to my community of listeners, and I really just miss having these good conversations with good people. So, yeah, check everything out. Check Mountain Alpha out. Once again, use that code BOWHIKE upon checkout. We'll get you 10% off on some of their stuff. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and we'll get with you on the next one. Bye.